Good evening, everyone. How are you all? Hope you all are safe and sound. Yes, I can see many of you getting connected. So, once again, a very warm good evening to all of you. So, all ready with a new lesson today? Yes, today we'll be discussing a lesson from your textbook Vistas, and the title of the lesson is The Enemy. Enemy is a big word. If I ask you to tell me the Hindi meaning of enemy, it is दुश्मन. अब दुश्मन होना is not a small thing. मतलब हर किसी के enemy नहीं होते, right? So the lesson is very interesting and very inspiring at the same time. And once we go through the lesson, you'll find that sometimes you fall in dilemma. There is a fight between your head and heart. Your head says something, means your brain says something, whereas your heart says something else. So you are in a dilemma. What to do? Dilemma means कश्मकश, द्वंद्व. जब दिल कहे ये करो और दिमाग कहे ये करो. सो ऐसा ही कुछ डायलेमा इस लेसन में है. द मेन कैरेक्टर डॉक्टर सदाओ goes through a dilemma. Okay, now tell me one more thing. uh, when a person becomes a doctor, you must have seen in many movies also, an oath is given to the doctors, and they say that they will take care of all the ill and sick people, injured people. And we have been seeing currently this coronavirus and how doctors have dedicated themselves, कैसे अपनी जान को बाजी पर लगाकर वो पेशेंट्स को क्योर कर रहे हैं. आपने देखा है ना अभी. वी आर सीइंग वेरी लाइव एग्जांपल्स, एंड द रिस्पेक्ट टुवर्ड्स डॉक्टर्स हैव इंक्रीज्ड इमेंसली. बहुत ज़्यादा हमारे मन में डॉक्टर्स के लिए रिस्पेक्ट बढ़ गई है, isn't it? So this story is set up in the Second World War time, when America and Japan were fighting against each other. So they were enemies of each other, right? And would you like to know what happened? So let me share screen with you. Yes, just a moment, and we'll be seeing the text. Yes, so here it is. Let's see. Who has written this lesson? Pearl S. Buck is the writer of the lesson, The Enemy. And this is a deeply moving tale of a Japanese doctor and an American prisoner of war. Who is a prisoner of war? जब कंट्रीज के बीच में लड़ाई होती है और वो एक देश के फौजी दूसरे देश के फौजी को पकड़ लेते हैं, दैट इज दैट मैन इज कॉल्ड प्रिजनर ऑफ वॉर, मतलब युद्ध में कैद किया हुआ. सो डॉक्टर सदाउस प्राइम ड्यूटी इज टू सेव लाइव्स, है ना. ये तो डॉक्टर की ड्यूटी है कि वो किसी भी सिक को, किसी भी इंजर्ड को देखे तो फर्स्ट ड्यूटी क्या है, उसको उसकी जान बचाना. So this story highlights the dilemma faced by the doctor between his professional duty and his loyalty to his country. So Now, as a doctor, you have to save life, but as a citizen of a country, you have to kill the enemy, isn't it? So now, if he see the dilemma, if he saves the person, he is saving his enemy. So he's, you can say he's not patriotic, he's not loyal to his country. But let's see what he does. It also depicts very effectively about how the doctor takes care of his profession and also takes personal risks. Now, as a doctor, he saves life, and for that he has taken risk, because if anybody comes to know about this, that he is curing mm, an enemy, then what will happen? Maybe he is put into the jail. So ऐसे रिस्क भी ले रहा है ना वो, क्योंकि आप डॉक्टर हो तो ठीक है, लेकिन आप अपने दुश्मन को थोड़ी बचाओगे, है ना? इसका मतलब आप अपने कंट्री के प्रति लॉयल नहीं हो। अब कितना बड़ा डायलेमा है ना, कितना बड़ा कश्मकश है कि अगर एज ए डॉक्टर मैं अगर किसी की लाइफ नहीं बचाता हूँ तो मैं अपने प्रोफेशन से बेईमानी कर रहा हूँ, लेकिन एज ए सिटीजन अगर मैं अपने देश के दुश्मन को नहीं मारता हूँ तो मैं अपने देश के प्रति गद्दारी कर रहा हूँ, है कि नहीं? सो लेट्स सी what happens in the lesson. So this story is takes place during the time of the Second World War, as I told you earlier also. So it happened at the time of the Second World War. All the doctors were under the obligation to go to the Japanese army, but Dr. Sadao stayed back with the old general as he was ailing and needed Sadao for treatment. See, the war was taking place, and what happens, जब आर्मी लड़ाई करने जाती है तो वहां पर बहुत सारे सोल्जर्स को चोट लगती है, they get injured. So most of the doctors are deputed with the army, but Dr. Sadao was not sent. There was a reason behind it, because the old general was not well, and he trusted Dr. Sadao because Dr. Sadao was a very senior doctor. He was a very good surgeon, a famous surgeon. So he kept Sadao back. He did not send him to the border because he needed his treatment. We are also told that how, for pursuing higher studies, Sadao went to America. Right now, they were fighting. America and Japan were enemies. But earlier, uh, और हायर डिग्री लेने के लिए सदाव went to America. Before his father's death, Sadao had become a successful surgeon and a famous scientist. So, Dr. Sadao's father wanted his son to become a surgeon. First, he wanted him to become a doctor, then, he wanted him to become a surgeon. And Sadao fulfilled his father's wish. अपने पापा की इच्छा पूरी की. And he became a very successful surgeon and also a famous scientist. While he was in America, he met his future wife, Hana. He met a girl whose name was Hana, but he liked her. But he did not give any commitment to her. First of all, he tried to know who the girl is, to which place she belongs. ये लड़की कहाँ की है, ऐसा उसने अपने ऊपर कंट्रोल रखा और पहले पता किया कि वो कहाँ की है. When he came to know that she too was a Japanese, then he fell in love with her. Right? She was also Japanese and he was also Japanese. They both had come from Japan. And then, after completing his studies, he came back to Japan and Both of them got married in the presence of Dr. Sadao's father as per Japanese traditions. So पूरी स्टडी कंप्लीट करने के बाद वो जापान आया और जापान में आकर अपने फादर को बताया और उनकी प्रेजेंस में जापानीज रीति रिवाज के साथ उन दोनों ने शादी की. One day, when Dr. Sadao and Hana were standing in the balcony of their house, they saw some black figure falling on the sand. क्या हो? They were Their house was sea facing. So one day when they were just enjoying the pleasant wind, what happened? They saw at a distance, they saw something fell on the sand. So they rushed. It seemed like there was a man. So they reached there, and what did they find? They find a man bleeding profusely. बहुत ज्यादा खून निकल रहा है. When they turned him over, they found that the man was an American sailor who had been tortured. उन्होंने उसको पलटी दी तो उसका फेस क्लियर हुआ. He was a white man. White man means an American, and he was an American sailor. And it seemed that he had been tortured. उसको बहुत torture किया गया था because he was a prisoner of war. है ना, युद्ध का कैदी था वो. With a troubled heart, they somehow brought him home. Now, what was the trouble? That he was an enemy. So, now here the dilemma began. The first thing was, should we take him home or not? Or should they leave him to die? A question was haunting them, whether an American soldier should be saved or not. है ना? बार बार एक क्वेश्चन उनके दिमाग को हॉन्ट कर रहा था. दिमाग को लग रहा था कि क्या इसकी जान बचाएं या नहीं. Although the servants were unhappy. Now when they brought him home, जब उस अमेरिकन सोल्जर को घर लाए तो सर्वेंट्स ने देखा व्हाइट मैन, दुश्मन, एनिमी, and they were not at all happy with their master. मालिक से बिल्कुल नाखुश हो गए वो. And what they wanted, they did not want their master to operate him or to cure the injured because he was their enemy. So they did not want him to operate because he had an old उसको गोली का निशान था, गन शॉट था, और वहां से बहुत पुराना कभी उसको वहां पर गन शॉट लगा. एंड व्हेन ही फेल डाउन, वो वूंड दोबारा से खुल गया एंड उसमें से बहुत ब्लड निकल रहा था. So he had to operate that, and his servants did not want him to operate. But Dr. Sadao had a professional duty to operate the injured. ये ओथ ली हुई थी कि हम हर इंजर्ड की लाइफ में सेव करें. And he was a very senior surgeon, so operation was successful. And Hana not only looked after the man but also fed him. Why she had to look after? Because the servants went away, left their house, their master's house. They were not happy कि मालिक बहुत गलत कर रहे हैं, दुश्मन को बचा रहे हैं, दुश्मन का ऑपरेशन कर रहे हैं. So they said that we do not approve this, and they went away. So Hana had to cook food for this injured man, this American soldier. She had to look after him. Although Sadao was afraid that the servants might not complain, but he did not care. अब देखो, what Sadao was doing was against the country. He was saving an enemy, an American soldier. So that was not in favor of his country. But that was in favor of his profession. So, at, on the one hand, he was curing the injured. On the other hand, he was afraid also that कहीं ऐसा ना हो कि कोई नौकर जाकर पुलिस में कंप्लेंट करे. On the seventh day, the servants came and cleared all the dues. They came, they said, हमको काम नहीं करना और हमारा हिसाब किताब कर दो. In the afternoon of the same day, a messenger arrived saying that the general had asked for Dr. Sadao as he was in pain. Do you remember? Dr. Sadao had not gone with other doctors on the border. Why? Because the general was not well and he did not send Dr. Sadao. So today, that is on the seventh day in the afternoon, a messenger came that the general wanted to meet Dr. Sadao because he was in pain. So Sadao went there and he praised him, the, the general, about the prisoner whom he was sheltering. When Dr. Sadao went there, he told the general कि ऐसे ऐसे हुआ और एक prisoner था, he was badly injured and I have kept him in my house because as a doctor, my first duty was to save his life. Because now the general, in general, the general should have become very angry with Dr. Sadao. ये क्या किया तुमने, दुश्मन की जान बचाई, उसको तो वही मार देना चाहिए था, है ना? But general needed Sadao for surgery, so he could not get angry with him. What he said, he offered to send his own assassins to get rid of the prisoner quietly. He said, okay, don't worry, I'll send my men and they will go and quietly kill that prisoner, that American soldier. So Dr. Sadao was also very relieved कि ठीक है, मैंने तो अपनी ड्यूटी पूरी कर दी, अब मैंने उसको सौंप दिया अपनी कंट्री को, and let them do whatever they want to do. But do you know what happened? Since the general was not well, he was in pain, and he forgot. So finally, Sadao decided to help Tom, the prisoner, escape. Now, here you come to know the name about the of the prisoner. You come to know about his name. So, what was his name? Keep in mind because maybe there is one question on this also. So, finally, Dr. Sadao decided to help Tom. In what? Help him in escaping. Bhai, tu ja. Because he kept waiting for 2 nights, but no one came. He even did not bolt the door because General had told him that my men will come and they will quietly slay him. But they did not come. So after 2 days, now Dr. Sadao wanted to get rid of this prisoner as soon as possible. है ना, जल्दी से पीछा छुड़ाओ, अभी ये ठीक हो गया. So what he did, he thought, now let us help him in escaping. He told him of a nearby island where he could wait for a Korean fishing boat and provided him a boat and food, etc. So he told that American soldier, भाई थोड़ा सा दूर पर एक आइलैंड है, वहां से कोरियन फिशिंग बोट्स क्रॉस करती हैं and they will help you to escape. So he gave him a boat, he gave him food and whatever he needed, and some flashlights also, cautioning him to take all precautions. He was sent. Now he told him ये प्रिकॉशन लेना, ये सावधानी लेना, और वहां पर सेफली पहुंच जाओ तो ऐसे 2 बार मुझे फ्लैश लाइट से कर देना, अगर कोई डेंजर हो तो, और अगर कोई डेंजर नहीं हो तो लाइट्स मत दिखाना, हम मान लेंगे कि आप सेफ हो. ये सारी इंस्ट्रक्शंस देकर, प्रिकॉशंस लेकर, ही वॉज सेंट. After the prisoner left, the servants returned. जैसे ही अमेरिकन सोल्जर वहां से गया, the servants came back. Do you know why? Because Dr. Sadao was also a very famous man. So he was a respectable man. People respected him, and he was a famous scientist too. So they all returned back. When Sadao went to attend the general, he informed him that the prisoner had escaped. So the next time, when Sadao went to attend the general, he told him, भाई वो भाग गया, बच के निकल कर भाग गया. Now the general remembered, oh, I had to send my men to slay that soldier. He said that since he had been suffering a lot, he forgot. भाई मैं बहुत तकलीफ में था तो मैं भूल. Now Sadao knew that he was not in danger. Now Sadao was safe, है ना? He did his duty. He saved the injured, and he made him escape. So now nothing was, his life was not in danger. So he knew that now he is safe. Since there was no prick of light from the island, Sadao understood that the American had been able to escape, and he was relaxed. तो जैसे उसको उन्होंने सारी इंस्ट्रक्शंस दी थी कि रात में अगर तुम्हारी लाइफ डेंजर में हो तो ऐसे 2 टाइम्स फ्लैश लाइट करना, तो आई विल अंडरस्टैंड दैट यू आर नॉट सेफ. बट ऐसा नहीं हुआ. सो ही अंडरस्टूड कि ही इज safe and he has been able to escape. So Dr. Sadao was relaxed. Sadao remembered all the Americans he came in contact with while he was in America. अब एक जैसे flashback में चलता है ना. He remembered when he came in contact with Americans when he had gone to study in America. At that time, he the, the American professors taught him. He stayed at some American home where the landlady was also American. He was also reminded of the racism he had to face in America. What is racism? नस्ल भेद जो हम करते हैं ना कि ये ब्लैक, ये वाइट, ये अमेरिकन, ये ब्रिटिश, ये जापानीज. तो क्योंकि जापानीज और अमेरिकन्स, they were each other's enemy. So the Americans hated Japanese and the Japanese hated American. So while he was in America, he also faced racism. Sometimes people behaved awkwardly with them. It was very strange that although he had so much of hatred for Americans, he could not kill Americans prisoner. That this thing came to his mind also. Yeah, I have so much hatred for Americans, but why I was not able to kill American prisoner? क्यों नहीं मार पाया वो American prisoner को? Because as a doctor, he had saved that person's life, that American's life. है ना? Thus, the story is a true example of how humanity triumphs over hatred and narrow national prejudices. Very important sentence. कि ये स्टोरी जो है ना एक बहुत बहुत अच्छा उदाहरण है कि कैसे इंसानियत नफरत पर विजय पाती है ना. इस लेसन में देखो, इंसानियत की जीत हुई ना, नफरत की जीत नहीं हुई, नफरत हार गई. एंड नैरो नेशनल प्रेजुडिसेस, जैसे हमने अपने आप को एक देश के दायरे में बांध दिया कि मैं इंडियन, ये अमेरिकन, ये ब्रिटिश. वाई? वी ऑल आर ह्यूमन बीइंग्स एट द एंड ऑफ द डे, है ना. हम सब ह्यूमन बीइंग्स हैं. नाउ सी, if any virus spreads, does it distinguish between an American or a British or an Indian? सबको equally infect करता है, isn't it? So you all have liked the lesson? Yes, I'm sure you all have liked. So the lesson is clear? Right. Now let's go through few multiple choice questions. Let's see. what the questions are. Very general questions I've taken, and I'm sure you all will be able to answer them. Right, shall we start? Okay, now question number one asks, why did Dr. Sadao go to America? Yes, why did he go? To find a wife for himself, to study medicine, to enjoy. None of the above. So, which do you think is the correct option? Yes, he went there to become a doctor, to become a surgeon. That means option B is the correct option. So you can quickly tick the option B. Now, Sadao and Hana decided to take the soldier dash. Fill in the blank. Where did they decide to take the soldier? To the movie theater. उसको मूवी दिखाने ले जा रहे थे. Inside their house, to the park, to his home. Where did they take him? Park में? No. उसके घर? No. Where? Inside their house. Right. So here again, option B is the correct option. How did Hannah help Dr. Sada? How did she help him? You remember when all the servants disapproved of this act of Dr. Sadao, they didn't want him to save the life of an American. So, what did they do? They all went away. Now, who had to assist Dr. Sadao? Yes, Hannah had to help him. So, how did Hannah help Dr. Sadao? By giving him money? No. By giving him tools? No. By assisting him as a nurse, or all of the above. So, do you have any doubt? No, there's no doubt. She assisted him as a nurse. Very nice. Okay, now question number four is, where Dr. Sadao meets Hannah. Where did he meet him? In Madras? In America? In Japan? In Australia? Where did he meet Hannah? First time. Where was he? You remember? He was in America. Yes, again, option B is the correct option. Now, the next question is, why did Hannah wash the wounded soldiers? क्यों उसको उसके wounds wash करने पड़े है ना वो तो he had fallen on the sand, so he was so dirty clothes, so how could he be operated until the wounds had been washed, है ना सबसे पहले तो सफाई की जरूरत थी. So why did Hannah wash the wounded soldier? Because the servants refused to help them, because Hannah wanted to do it herself, because Dr. Sadao forced her to do it, because none of them. So, which is the correct option? Yes, option A, because the servants refused to help them. Right. Now, let's move on to the next one. Why did the messenger come to Dr. Sadao? Why did he come? To convey the general's message that he was in pain, to eat dinner, to spend time with Dr. Sadao, all of the above. So you remember the story? Yes, I'm sure. क्यों आया था मैसेंजर डॉक्टर सदाव के पास? एक मैसेज लेकर that the general was in pain. So option A is the correct option. Okay. Now the question number 7 is, what kind of a person was general? ऐसा इंसान था. He was a selfish man. He was a fool. He was a kind man. None of the above. So, go back to the story. Dr. Sadao was not sent on the border. Why? Because the general wanted him to stay back for himself. So he was a selfish man. He was not a fool. He was not a kind man. He was a selfish man. One more example. When Dr. Sadao told him that he has an American prisoner of war, he did not take any action. As a general, he should have taken action. है ना, अगेंस्ट डॉक्टर सदाव कि कैसे तुमने एक दुश्मन की लाइफ सेव की. बट ही डिड नॉट डू एनीथिंग बिकॉज ही नीडेड डॉक्टर सदाव फॉर हिमसेल्फ. है ना, कि मेरी सर्जरी करनी है डॉक्टर सदाव को, तो मैं इसको कोई नुकसान नहीं पहुंचा सकता. सो ही वॉज अ सेल्फिश मैन. हाउ डिड द डॉक्टर गेट रिड ऑफ द अमेरिकन सोल्जर? कैसे पीछा छुड़ाया, अब ठीक कर दिया भाई, अब तो यहाँ से निकले, है ना. How did he get rid of this American soldier? By giving him instructions, by asking him to row to the island, by giving him flashlight to use in times of distress, all of the above. Difficult and yes, he gave him lots of instructions. He gave him boat also to go to that nearby island. Remember now? And he also gave him flashlight and told him to use it if you are in trouble. So all these three options A, B, and C are correct. And option D says all of the above. So which one is the correct one? Right. Option D is the correct option. Very nice. Let's move on to question number 9. Why did the general not pass orders to arrest Dr. Sadao? क्यों नहीं अरेस्ट किया? When Dr. Sadao himself went to the general and told him कि मैंने एक American prisoner of war की life save की है and he's in my home, तो ये तो arrest हो जाना चाहिए था ना. That was against the country, but he did not pass any order. Why? Because the general was not in good health and needed his services, because he trusted him, because he was his friend, or all of the above. Yes, I know you don't have any doubt. Option A is the correct option. Now let's move on to the last MCQ. What was the name of the American prisoner? I told you to keep this name in mind. What was the name of the American prisoner? Do I need to speak the options? No, you see option B and Tom. His name was Tom. So this was the sharing of screen, and this is all for. So did you like the lesson? Yes, this lesson is very interesting, and you see it happens with us also many times. दिल कहता है घूमने जाओ, दिमाग कहता है नो, it is not safe. You have to stay at home. You have not to go out. But since long you have been staying at home and you are fed up of it and you want to go out, roam around with your friends, on a picnic, है ना, have parties, enjoy them. But you have to listen to your head. So many times there is a fight between your head and your heart. And at times your heart wins, and at times your head wins. So, and let me tell you one more thing that right now doctors have proved themselves, and let's see, we should all respect them. Their dedication should be respected. I don't know what happens all the time. So, you all enjoyed the lesson? Yes. Start reading the lessons also. Once I complete the lesson, pick up your book, go through the lesson, and you will definitely enjoy lesson, and you'll have a better understanding, because now you know the story. When you read the lesson in detail, that will help you in answering MCQs, short questions, and long questions. So, what you have to do is, those who have not subscribed my channel English, please subscribe to my channel and like the video, right? So, this is all for today. Good night and have sweet dreams, and start studying seriously now. Good night.